Good evening, members of the City Council. Thank you for allowing me to speak with you this evening. You have raised an important concern. Is Catholic teaching compatible with a city made up of different people, different Christian traditions, other religions, and those with little or no faith at all? I understand why you're asking this question. The Catholic Church claims religious truth and continues to proclaim Jesus Christ. The Church also has had, unfortunately, a history that includes conflict, coercion, division, and anti-Semitism. These realities cannot be ignored. However, I do not believe Catholic identity and religious pluralism oppose one another. In fact, the Second Vatican Council teaches that Catholics can remain faithful to Christ while respecting the dignity, conscience, and religious freedom of every person. I'll discuss later how popes have put this teaching into practice. I'll also explain how the Franciscan tradition shows us how to approach people of different beliefs through humility, peace, and personal encounter. The first point I would like to address is religious freedom. The Second Vatican Council Declaration on Religious Freedom, Dignitatis Humanae, teaches that every human person possesses dignity and has the right to religious freedom. No person should be forced by individuals, social groups, or governments to act against their conscience in religious matters. People also should not be prevented from practicing their religion either privately or publicly within reasonable limits. Religious freedom is not simply the freedom to believe whatever one chooses. It is the freedom from coercion so that people may seek religious truth and embrace faith faithfully, willingly, and responsibly. This teaching protects Catholics, but it also protects Protestants, Orthodox Christians, Jews, Muslims, members of other religions, and people who practice no religion. The document also explains the responsibilities of civil authorities. The government should protect religious freedom, prevent religious discrimination, and provide equal legal protection for all citizens. Religious communities should be free to worship, teach, communicate with other religious groups, select their own ministers, their own property, and establish educational and charitable organizations. This doesn't mean religious freedom is unlimited either. It has to be exercised with respect of the rights of others, public peace, public morality, and the common good. I would summarize the balance this way. Government should protect religious freedom without allowing anyone to use religion as a reason to violate another person's rights. Therefore, Catholic teaching does not ask this council to make the city Catholic. It asks the council to protect the freedom of every person and religious community equally. We see how religious freedom establishes the Church's foundation. Vatican II then shows how the Church can build relationships with people who believe differently. The Council's decree on ecumenism, Unitatis Redintegratio, addresses relationships among Christians. It acknowledges that Christian division weakens our witness to Christ. It calls Catholics to avoid unfair judgment and to pursue greater understanding through prayer, study, dialogue, and cooperation. The document does not pretend that all Christians believe the same things. Important differences still remain. Yet, Catholic can recognize other Christians as brothers and sisters through baptism while remaining faithful to Catholic teaching. The Declaration on Non-Christian Religions, Nostra Aetate, extends this bridge of dialogue to address relationships between non-Christians. In studying this document, I identified 4 important bridges. The first is our common human origin and destiny in God. The second is respect for what is true and holy in other religions. The third is dialogue and cooperation for the common good. The fourth is a rejection of discrimination and the promotion of peace. At the same time, the Declaration on Non-Christian Religions does not tell Catholics to abandon their faith. The Church respects the beliefs of other religions while continuing to proclaim Christ. Respect does not require agreement. This is especially important in the Church's relationship with the Jewish people. The Declaration on Non-Christian Religions rejects anti-Semitism and the idea that all Jewish people, either at the time of Jesus or today, can be blamed for the death of Christ. The 1998 Vatican document, We Remember, a reflection on the Shoah, went further by examining the failures of Christians connected with anti-Semitism and the Shoah. The Church's present teaching does not erase its history. Building a bridge requires honest remembrance, repentance, education, and changed behavior. Joseph Chininski's study of ecumenism, civil rights, and Vatican II helps place these developments in their historical setting. The Council met while societies were confronting discrimination, segregation, religious division, and questions about human rights. The Church was not only reconsidering its relationship with other Christians, it was also reconsidering how it should live and witness within the modern society of the world. This leads to another very important question. If Catholics enter into dialogue with other religions, does that mean we believe all religions are the same? The answer is no. Listening does not require agreement. It requires respect and a willingness to understand another person's perspective. Dialogue should allow each person to speak honestly about what they believe. In his encyclical on dialogue, Ecclesiam Soam, Pope Paul VI taught that dialogue should be marked by clarity, meekness, confidence, and prudence. Modern papal actions demonstrate this balance. In 1986, Pope John Paul II invited religious leaders to Assisi to pray for peace. They gathered in one place for a common purpose, but they did not create one shared religion. In 2011, Pope Benedict XVI returned to Assisi for the Pilgrims of Truth and Pilgrims of Peace meeting. He emphasized that interreligious dialogue must continue but cannot turn into religious relativism. He pointed out that people of different faiths, agnostics and non-believers, can seek peace together without pretending their beliefs are the same. Jason Welly's study of Assisi gatherings examines how these meetings evolved into a public expression of dialogue and shared responsibility. The choice of Assisi was not accidental. It points out toward St. Francis and the Franciscan tradition. During the Fifth Crusade, Francis crossed the military lines and met Sultan al-Malik al-Kamal. Francis did not stop being Christian, and the Sultan did not stop being Muslim, yet they met personally during a time when Christians and Muslims were killing one another. Andre Fouché's study of Francis and Jason Welly's study of Damita'u encounter helps us understand the importance of this meeting. Francis approached the Sultan as a person rather than simply as an enemy. Their difference remained, but a peaceful encounter became possible. Francis gave his brothers further guidance in chapter 16 of the earlier rule. He told friars living among Muslims to avoid disputes and quarrels. They were to live humbly among others while openly acknowledging that they were Christians. I find that balance important. Francis did not ask the friars to hide their faith. He asked them to change the manner in which they witnessed to it. Their first witness was to be their conduct. The third Franciscan example comes from Francis's testament. Francis wrote that God revealed to him the greeting, "May the Lord give you peace." Peace was not simply something Francis discussed. It became the way he entered relationships. These examples give us a Franciscan approach to religious pluralism. Remain faithful to Christ, avoid unnecessary arguments, meet people personally, and begin with peace. Francis gave us a model, but that model must become action. So you might be asking yourself, what does all this mean for our city? We live in a world that often encourages people to argue before they understand. our city can offer something a lot better. Religious and non-religious people can get together and listen to one another. Through dialogue, they can correct unfair judgments and work together without denying their differences. We can cooperate in addressing the needs of hunger, homelessness, healthcare, violence, refugees, and the care for all creation. We can visit one another's places of worship and community organizations. We can educate our citizens about anti-Semitism and religious prejudice. We can also ensure that the people with no religious faith are treated as equal partners in civic life. My hospital ministry experience has helped me understand this, as I encounter a number of people of different faiths. When I enter a hospital room, I don't begin by asking whether the patient shares my Catholic beliefs. I'm there to listen and recognize the dignity of the person in front of me. My Catholic faith motivates me to serve God and neighbor, but I do not force my beliefs upon another person. This is how I understand the Church's place within a pluralistic society. Catholic identity should motivate service rather than domination. So, members of the Council, Catholic teaching is compatible with religious pluralism. The Church remains Catholic and continues to proclaim Christ, but at the same time it defends freedom from religious coercion, recognizes the dignity of every person, rejects discrimination, and calls Catholics to dialogue and cooperation. Vatican II provides the teaching, and our popes have provided public examples. Francis provides the manner with humility, peace, encounter, and service. The Church does not ask you to make this city Catholic. It asks for the freedom to contribute to the common good while defending that same freedom for everyone. Thank you, and may the Lord give you peace.